Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the More Than a Number podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that I know really drives people like absolutely insane when they're looking for nutrition advice, and that is the "it depends" answer. Now, listen. I know. People hate hearing that. You ask, is this food healthy? It depends. Is low carb good? It depends. Should I get rid of gluten? It depends. How much protein do I need? It depends. And I know some people hear that and think, why can nobody just give me a straight answer? But today, I want to explain why "it depends" is the most honest, ethical, evidence-based answer that we can give in nutrition, and why these social media influencers and wellness experts giving blanket black and white advice can actually do a tremendous amount of harm. Because friends, nutrition is nuanced. It's not black and white. It is all gray. Human beings are nuanced. We're all different. Everybody's body is different. And when we oversimplify nutrition into good foods, bad foods, this works, this doesn't, everyone should do this, nobody should eat that, it creates this confusion. It creates fear and guilt, and honestly really keeps people trapped in that diet culture yo-yo cycle for years. So today we're going to unpack why nutrition is not a one-size-fits-all, how this influencer culture can profit from certainty, why context matters so much, and how to stop getting emotionally whiplashed every time Instagram decides that seed oils or oatmeal are apparently trying to kill us this week. Because I swear to God, every week there is a new villain in the world of nutrition. It is out of control. So why do people love black and white nutrition advice? Let's just start here. Because people love certainty. We love certainty. We want someone to tell us, this is good, do this, eat exactly this, don't eat exactly this. This is exactly how to lose weight as fast as possible. This is exactly how to fix whatever our health problem is. And it's because uncertainty feels uncomfortable, right? So especially when you've struggled with your weight for a long time, or if you're anything like me, like literally since the womb, you feel frustrated, you feel overwhelmed, you've tried a million different things already. So when someone online shows up confidently saying, this is the problem, just don't ever eat this, or this is why you can't lose weight, it feels comforting, even if it's not true or if it's oversimplified nonsense, because confidence sells and cool videos with pretty people sell. Sexy sells. Nuance, unfortunately, does not. And social media really rewards that certainty and fear and extremes. It rewards the controversy, all for the algorithm, right? It is not balanced, individualized healthcare. Nobody really goes viral saying, well, Susan, based on your medical history, your lifestyle, relationship with food, activity level, your food preferences, your lab work, your stress levels, your sleep, your goals, It depends. That is not sexy, but it is honest. So the problem, many problems with blanket nutrition advice is that it can be dangerous. A lot of influencers speak in absolutes. There's so much fear mongering going on in the world of food and nutrition on the interwebs. Things like, of course, the age old carbs are bad. Fruit has too much sugar, which is the bane of my existence lately. Never eat processed foods. Seed oils are toxic. Everybody should be fasting. Everybody should be going low carb. Nobody should be eating dairy. Adults don't need dairy, right? Everyone should cut gluten. Gluten is bad. And listen, can some people benefit from those recommendations and those dietary changes? Of course. But the context matters. So, for example, when it comes to low carb, it can help some people with blood sugar management. It can help people with appetite regulation. But for someone else, it may actually create more problems, like increased binge eating tendencies. It can worsen food obsessions. It can feel impossible to sustain, like Italian girls or any Italians. Low carb is terrifying. It can negatively affect performance or energy. So is low carb good or bad? It depends. Healthy foods can actually become unhealthy behaviors. I think that this is something that people do not talk about enough. Sometimes it's not necessarily the food itself that's the problem. The issue is actually the relationship to the food. For example, someone can become super obsessed with that phrase, clean eating, even though there's no actual definition for what clean eating is. We can become very fearful of specific ingredients. We can become perfectionists. We can be terrified of these toxins, eating the right foods. And all of that creates this horrible anxiety, guilt, isolation. It actually promotes those binge and restrict cycles, obsessive behaviors. All of those things can be born out of this fear mongering, this black and white. So, I've worked with people who were technically eating healthy, but mentally they were miserable. And that matters because, first of all, who wants to be miserable? Health is not just what that darn scale says, right? It's not our body weight. It's not specific macros. It's not specific ingredients. Our mental and emotional health matters so much, and, sometimes even more so. The fear mongering is so real on socials. I cannot stand it, especially when it comes to food. If you've worked with me in the past or listened to the podcast for any amount of time, you know how strongly I believe in appreciating the joy and the love that we can find with food. There are so many traditions and cultural attachments that we can make surrounding food throughout our lives. And coming from a proud Italian family, food literally is love. We all love to eat, for one, but for many of us, we love to feed people too. It's a love language. There's a lot of joy that I get out of cooking and feeding my family and the people that I love. I don't believe that it's either realistic or pleasurable to live the rest of our lives so restricted that we can't enjoy certain foods just because they're on the bad list. Diet culture loves assigning that morality to food. That's that clean, or this is junk, or this is good, this is bad. There's always this like morality surrounding specific foods. This is toxic. That's been a huge thing lately. Cheating, cheat meals and cheat foods. I hear it all the time in my conversations with clients. And when we start labeling foods morally, something dangerous can happen, because if you eat the bad food, you feel like you are bad. And that creates shame. Shame is one of the biggest drivers of emotional eating, binge eating, all or nothing cycles. One stinking little cookie can turn into, well, I already blew it. And then suddenly the whole day is ruined. And we're like, well, I had a cookie at lunch, so may as well order a pizza for dinner instead of baking that chicken I was going to make. And the weekend's ruined now, so we may as well just go balls to the wall for the rest of the weekend, and we'll start again on Monday, of course. Sound familiar? Of course. So one of the reasons that I get nervous when I'm hearing influencers on social speak in these absolutes is because real healthcare providers understand complexity and nuance. A good practitioner always asks, like, what is this specific person's goals? What is their medical history? What do their labs look like? What is their relationship with food? What does their lifestyle look like? What's their cultural background? What are their food preferences? How about what's their budget? Because y'all, if you're like me, you can't even believe the price of food these days. So what is your food budget? What's your schedule? What's your stress level? What's your activity level? That's a huge factor there, because nutrition recommendations should fit that specific individual person, not an algorithm. Okay. So when we think about like meal prep, for example, there's so many people, and I've shared my meal prep strategies online also. It's a great example of what influencers are always putting out there, but the way that they do it can make it seem like if you are not meal prepping these 47 different identical meals in these glass containers every single Sunday, then you must not want it bad enough. Meanwhile, yeah, some people thrive with meal prep. Some people get super bored immediately. A lot of people need flexibility and different things to eat, and depending on their schedules, they may only prep for 2 days at a time versus a whole 7 days. People work unpredictable schedules sometimes. So should everyone meal prep in the same way? It depends. Let's talk about the high protein diets. Another really great example. If you know me or have worked with me, listened to the podcast, I'm the protein pusher, right? I love a high protein diet, and I talk about it all the time because for many people, protein helps with satiety and blood sugar stability and muscle preservation and weight maintenance. But does that mean that every single person needs a blanket 200 grams of protein a day, or everyone needs to be using this particular protein powder or any protein supplement in general? Should everyone be obsessively tracking macros, and tracking their grams of protein? No, because why? It depends. The goal is flexibility, not perfection. Remember, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, but none of us are perfect. One of the biggest things I, try to teach my clients is how to maneuver that flexibility within their own eating patterns and lifestyle, because that very like rigid thinking is oftentimes what keeps people stuck. Like those rules, the rigid rules that they create for themselves creates burnout. And when we're burnt out, we become rebels. We're like, forget this. It creates shame and guilt. We go down very serious shame spirals that, can lead to depression, anxiety, all of those things. Whereas a flexible structure can actually create the consistency and the sustainability and the resilience that we need to, remember, we don't want to lose weight, we want to maintain it long term. The people who maintain weight loss long term know that there's no perfection. They are adaptable. They recognize that life be lifin', and we adapt to new seasons of life well. So we have now this kind of like wellness culture, which to me is just diet culture in disguise. So it's the same fear, it's the same perfectionism and obsession. It's just rebranded into wellness, health and wellness, which I love the sound of. It sounds great, right? I talk about health and wellness all the time. But instead of be skinny, now it's, optimize everything, eliminate everything, biohack everything. We have to be fearful of every ingredient. And friends, that's diet culture, which sucks. So if your nutrition approach is really causing you to be terrified to eat at a birthday party or to go out with your friends, then we need to reevaluate what we're doing. What we should be asking, instead of, is this food good or bad? We should be asking, does this choice support my goals? Does this make me feel good physically? Because we know when we eat things that upset our bodies, we regret it. So does it make me feel good? Is it sustainable? Can I realistically maintain this eating pattern? How does this affect my relationship with food? Those are the better questions. Okay. And then, we always got to bring it back to the identity piece, because it's truly the core of everything. Diet culture says that we have to follow the rules perfectly. But sustainable health, sustainable weight loss says, learn your body, learn your life, your balance, learn consistency. The goal is not, becoming someone who eats perfectly, which, what is that anyways? Because everybody's idea of perfect eating is different and everybody has different needs. So the goal is becoming someone who can make balanced decisions consistently without like spiraling emotionally over food. That's where the food freedom is found. And, all of my programs are called Winning at Weight Loss, because that truly is what I believe is winning at weight loss, being able to learn how to eat in a way that you can maintain for the rest of your life. And in our breakthrough session that we do, we're breaking down the barriers that have been keeping you from making that lasting progress and getting you to finally start making progress. So I, never do any kind of cookie cutter plans. I'm not going to give you any kind of influencer fear tactics. We are looking at your lifestyle, your eating patterns, your relationship with food. What's your schedule? What are you trying to accomplish? Right? Like, what are your goals? What does healthy mean to you? What are your struggles? What do you feel like is holding you back? And how can we try to push past that? and we build something realistic for you specifically, because sustainable nutrition should feel supportive, not exhausting. If you're tired of feeling confused by all of the conflicting nutrition information online, that's what I do. I love to simplify things for you. So, you can always book your session at bit.ly/win at weight loss now. That's your breakthrough session, and you can find that at bit.ly/win at weight loss now. Okay, so let's recap today's episode. Nutrition is nuanced. Context matters, right? Human beings are different. We're individuals in so many ways. And when someone online speaks in these like rigid absolutes about food, nutrition, or weight loss, please remember, real health is rarely ever black and white. It depends is not a cop-out answer. It's literally the most responsible answer, because sustainable health is not about perfection, fear, or rigid food rules. It's about learning what works for your body, your life, and your long-term goals. So before we move on from this episode, or before you move on from this episode, I want you to take 5 minutes and really reflect on this question. What nutrition or wellness fear-mongering have I internalized over the years? So maybe it's believing that carbs are the enemy, that you can't lose weight unless you cut out an entire food group, that eating after a certain time ruins progress, or that one cheat meal means that you failed. I want you to identify one rigid food rule or fear that may actually be keeping you stuck in that restrict, binge, start over cycle. And then ask yourself, is this belief truly helping me build a healthier, more sustainable life? Or is it just keeping me anxious and feeling shameful around food? Awareness is the first step toward breaking that diet culture thinking, because the goal is not perfection. It's learning how to make balanced, sustainable decisions without fear controlling your relationship with food. All right, friends. I hope this episode helped you today. If it did, please share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And if you haven't yet, I would be so, so grateful if you subscribe and share the show. Help me reach more people who need this information. I love you. God loves you. I'll see you right back here next week.